people we want in our country. So this was, I guess, released by somebody that loves us, maybe in Border Patrol. We don't know exactly where the numbers, but these are certified numbers. And you had 16,000 drug traffickers. You had numbers that nobody's ever seen, 645,000 criminals overall. They're in our country. Nobody has any idea. They're from places unknown. Nobody knows who they are, what they are, but we know that we have over 600,000 people released into our country, along with the ones that you were talking about, the 21,000. But of them, 13,000, more than 13,000 are murderers. And some were on schedule to die. They were scheduled for the death penalty. And we have them now nicely ensconced in our country. I'll tell you what, we have the worst president and the worst vice president in the history of America. They are horrible. And just open borders doesn't make sense. You know, we built 500 miles of wall more, and we're going to add another 200, much more than I said I was going to do. And that's why we had the best the chart. So you know the chart? My favorite chart, Ali. My favorite piece of paper, my favorite chart, but we had a chart. Do you have something up here that could show? Oh, I love that. I love that chart. Oh, I love it. Didn't look to the right, I wouldn't be tomorrow. You know what tomorrow? If I didn't look over. So, no, but that, if you look at the chart, at the arrow on the bottom, that shows the lowest number in the history of our country. That was the day I left office. And these clowns took over, and what they've done to our country, between that and so many other things, what they've done to our country. But, you know, I view inflation was the worst we've ever had, I think. They say, oh, it was only in 48 years. Somebody, one of the fake news back there, they corrected, no, 48 years, oh, okay. But it wasn't. I believe it was the worst that we've ever had. And that's been one of the big problems. But to me, and I know that you talk about the bad economy, you talk about all of the costs, and the costs are so bad. To me, the worst is the border. Because it's like what they're doing is they're destroying our country. And it's not easy. We're going to get them out. We're going to have the largest deportation in history. I'm not proud to say that either. But it's a tough thing to do. And we're going to get, Anna, we're going to get the criminals out. We're going to start with the worst of them, and we're going to get them out. And you know who's going to help us? Local law enforcement. Local law enforcement. They're going to be great. They know their names. They know their serial numbers. We're going to get them out, and, you know, very simply, we have a little thing called MAGA. Everybody here knows MAGA. It's called Make America Great Again. That's what we're going to do. We're going to make America great again. Thank you, darling. Really good question. Thank you.
You know, Mr. President, to your credit, too, I think that's largely why you've actually outpaced every other candidate for president with the support from the Hispanic American community, because it's not just erasing. We all want border security. So thank you, Mr. President.
It's an incredible community that I don't know, it's just a very energetic. You know that, right? It's energetic. And they're very entrepreneurial, and they love our country. And we've gotten record numbers with the Hispanic community. And I don't know, it just works. It just works, so I appreciate it very much. Thank you, darling, very much.
Thank you, guys. All right, Mr. President, our next question is from John. He was a Green Beret captain who was actually kicked out of the military. I think he's going to share his story with you. 1 second.
Hi. Good-looking guy.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. President. I'm John Frankman. I was a Special Forces Green Beret who was forced out of the military because of the COVID-19 vaccine mandate.
That's good stuff, right? That's good. That's good.
So the Biden-Harris DoD COVID-19 vaccine mandate was very damaging to the military. It forced thousands of service members out, and thousands do not want to join now. The Biden-Harris DoD has the lowest recruiting in modern history, and now they're pushing more woke training. So how do you plan to repair the military from the damage that was done and hold military leaders accountable?
So I want to have them come back into the military with pay. And, you know, they've been talking about that, but it never happened. They never did what they said they were going to do. There should have never been a mandate. That should have never happened. You should have been given choice, as we say. We want choice in education, and we want a choice there, too. And that should have never happened. And, you know, we've lost some of our best people in the military, too. Did you leave? Did you leave? Did you ever take the vaccine or anything?
I never did, sir.
So you want a choice, yeah. And Do you want it? Would you go back in if they were able to?
As long as there's accountability, potentially.
Yeah, no, there would be accountability. Is right. They're going to will fire their asses, but they would. We don't want to lose this guy. We want to get. He's central casting. We want to get him back in. Yeah, we're going to take care of it. I hope you do come back, or I hope you do very well outside. To be honest, wherever you are, I just want you to do well. But we're going to get a lot of people coming back. They should have never had the mandate. The mandate was a big mistake, and they treated people terribly, terribly. Okay? Thank you very much. Great.
Mr. President.
You look great. Thank you. We lost a lot of great people. Also in other, in police forces. I mean, a lot of people were forced into doing things they didn't want to do. But I love that question. That's a great question. Thank you very much.
I also, too, if I could, Mr. President, I don't think I've told you this story yet, but actually we had some of our friends that had been deployed, and one of our friends actually was shot pretty badly and ended up going to Walter Reed. And to put in perspective, there's a lot of politicians that will take photos with the military, but they don't care. But President Trump actually went privately, didn't ask for a photo opportunity, and he said thank you to our friend that had been shot in combat at Walter Reed. His heart's in it. He loves our community. And when I say that he has your back and he's going to make sure that they're accountable, he will.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And I'll tell you, we have a great military, we really do, but Walter Reed, you mentioned the name, and that hospital was unbelievable. The doctors are unbelievable. They had a lot of problems with getting there, getting to it, managerially getting in to see. But we had the best doctors. They could do things that nobody else could do, and they got to see some really badly hurt people. And the level of talent at Walter Reed, it's just an incredible hospital. So we have to pay our due respects. You hear so much about government-owned or whatever. I don't think there's a better hospital in the world than Walter Reed, so we should say that, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Mr. President, our next question comes from an active duty service member here at Fort Bragg. They like it. Austin, where are you at? Oh, front row.
That was good.
Good evening, Donald Trump.
Thank you.
President, oh, never mind. I've never done this before. I'm an active duty soldier here at Fort Liberty, and I want to start off by saying I'm here in personal capacity.
He meant Fort Bragg, right?
Yes.
Fort Bragg.
It's all right, guys.
No.
Are you not? You're not a soldier now?
No, I am a soldier. I'm currently active
you are.
duty.
Okay. Good.
On a... Oh, shit. That gives out. I'm here in my personal capacity, not speaking on behalf of the Army or DOD in any way.
Right.
Flying Israel from Iran and how impressive the Iron Dome is in protecting Israel. What are your thoughts on the Iron Dome for America?
I love it. I love it. How can you? I love it. We're going to have it. One of the things I say, we're going to have an Iron Dome. Why shouldn't we have an Iron Dome? And you see how effective. So the other day, 287 big missiles, ballistic missiles, were shot into Israel. Every single one of them was taken down. Well, why shouldn't we have that? And it's all going to be made in the United States. It was our technology. It's all going to be made in the U.S., and a lot of it's going to be made in a place called North Carolina, if you don't mind, okay? And I think I just learned the secret. Look, we're going to win. I believe you got to get out there, you got to vote and all that. But I think I just learned the secret to winning absolutely and by massive margins. I'm going to promise to you, as I said at the beginning, that we're going to change the name back to Fort Bragg, because I think when that word gets out, I just see this great-looking soldier just accidentally said Fort Liberty, and he got almost booed the hell out of the place. That was not good. Anyway, I believe it's absolutely something that we want to have for safety. We're a target for a lot of different places. I listened to Biden yesterday. Since I went under the wing, I used to go under the wing of the aircraft. Nobody ever did that before. I did. All of a sudden, Biden started, but he only takes like a half a question. Usually can't answer it. But they asked him, "What do you think about Iran? Would you hit Iran?" And he goes, "As long as they don't hit the nuclear stuff." That's the thing you want to hit, right? I said, I think he's got that one wrong. Isn't that what you're supposed to hit? I mean, it's the biggest risk we have. Nuclear weapons, the power of nuclear weapons, the power of weaponry. You know, I rebuilt the entire military, jets, everything. I built it, including nuclear, and I hated to build the nuclear, but I got to know firsthand the power of that stuff, and I'll tell you what, we have to be totally prepared. We have to be absolutely prepared. But when they asked him that question, the answer should have been, hit the nuclear first and worry about the rest later. And that's what they should. That's what if they're going to do it. If they're going to do it, they're going to do it. But we'll find out whatever their plans are. But great question. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Austin. Mr. President, I don't think you get enough credit for what you did with the Abraham Accords. I mean, that really was historical.
I agree. I agree.
But realistically, because of the failed foreign policy out of this current administration, we are on the verge of World War III. When you get back in office, what are you going to do to change it?
So a lot of things are happening very fast, and, you know, we could end up in World War III before we get there. The way it's going right now, look at Russia with Ukraine, that's a disaster. Look at the Middle East, it's exploding all over the place. And we have people that, look, we have a president that he spends most of his time on the beach sleeping. I never saw a guy could sleep in front of a camera. Does anybody think of it? I don't sleep that much. I toss and turn. I think. I'm always thinking. Do you ever do that? You're sweating and you're thinking and you're trying to figure out how to beat this one, that. Look, how to make our country great. But I toss and I turn. This guy just falls asleep on the beach like there's nothing to it. I wish I had that ability. That's one ability he has that I do not have. And I wouldn't mind having it. I could use a little extra sleep. But we are going to do things with our country. We just have to be respected again. You know, Viktor Orban, he's, you know, the fake news, a lot of fake news back there, by the way. But the fake news, you know, they call him a strong man. He's the head of Hungary. And we have, and he's, you know, very strong guy, very tough guy. But, I mean, more than anything else, a very smart guy. And they said, why is the world blowing up? You have the Middle East is blowing up. You have Russia, Ukraine. That could lead to catastrophe. You talk about nuclear weapons. That could be a total catastrophe. Why is it? He said, if you put Trump back in the White House, it's all going to end. You're going to have peace. You know, we had 4 years. We didn't have any wars. We didn't have any terrorism. We didn't have anything. And I won't tell you exactly what he said. Maybe I will. He said because they were afraid of Trump. I don't want to be the one saying that, but they were probably afraid of me because they think I was crazy. And that's a good thing to think, right, soldier? They said, this guy is crazy. But no, he said that you put Trump back in the White House, you're not going to have all of that stuff is going to heal. October 7th would have never happened. The attack on Israel would have never happened. Remember, Iran was broke. They weren't giving money to Hezbollah. They weren't giving money to anybody, any of these, they call them delegates of terror, a lot of different names, but it's always of terror. And there was no money for Hamas. And now you look, you know, because you were such a big part of it, we had no attacks, we had no terrorism, we had no nothing. For 4 years and I wanted to talk about it during the 4 years, but that's never smart, right, Robert? That's never smart to do. So I didn't, but I talk about it a lot now. We had no attacks. We had none of this stuff going on. We defeated ISIS, by the way. We took ISIS. We defeated them in 4 weeks. It was supposed to take 5 years. I rebuilt the military, and we had a military, and we have great generals, not the television guys, by the way, the real generals. I'm talking about like Raisin Cane, General Raisin Cane. You know who that is? But we defeated ISIS quickly. It was supposed to take 5 years. We did it in 4 weeks. We have a great military, and we have a military that's not woke. You may have a few people on the top that are woke, and we're going to get rid of them so damn fast, your head's going to split.
Yeah, he's not kidding. I mean, we've traveled around the world just on Codels, and every single world leader that we met with said that they needed you back because you'd be tough on China. They know that other people won't be tough on China, but you'll be tough on China.
Well, even China likes us back. You know, China wants to see a little stability, too. But I charged China hundreds of billions of dollars in taxes and tariffs, and they paid it. And frankly, we had a good relationship with President Xi, but they paid hundreds of billions of dollars. No other president got them to pay 10 cents. Not literally, not 10 cents. Got hundreds of billions of dollars. And you know what? More importantly, they respected your country. They don't respect us anymore. They respected your country, and they'll respect us again.
Amen, sir. Peace through strength. Our next question is from Sarah. Sarah is a VA advocate. Sarah, where are you at? Oh, perfect.
Hi, Sarah.
Again, we're working now. As you know, you talked about Walter Reed, sir, and I'll just say my husband is one of the most catastrophically wounded surviving service members, and you visited with him there many times.
Wow.
And this
that's so
past
good.
July, you saw him in Charlotte. Yes, sir.
Is he here? No? Is
Not
he
tonight, but you just saw him this summer, so he was so happy to
Good.
see you this
That's
summer.
great.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But I want to talk about all the advancements you made for community care, and you empowered veterans to choose their own providers. And Secretary Wilkie. And I was so proud to stand with you many times in the White House as you signed historic legislation and executive orders to take care of our military and veteran families. We've watched that community care access where a veteran can choose his or her own provider. We've watched that be actively limited and actively rolled back. President Trump, how are you going to bring that back as a day one priority and give veterans the choice for the best medical care back again?
It's such a great question, and thank you. And what a good wife that is, and I'll bet your husband's great. You love your husband, right? You know, the people like you, what is your first name? Sarah. People like Sarah are so important to our country because they take care of people that are great heroes, real heroes, and they take care. And if they didn't take care, or the hospitals would be unable to do it. They just would be there. Right now, I mean, with all of the migrants have taken over our hospitals. They've taken over our schools. We don't have anything, but people like Sarah, the job they do is incredible, and they do it out of pure love. They don't do it for any other reason. They do it out of pure love. And we have to help them. We have to help them because the medical costs would be unaffordable by our nation. It would be totally unaffordable. And it was better before, and I heard it sliding. I spoke with Robert before, and who did, by the way, an incredible job. You did an incredible job. Stand up, please. Stand up. And Sarah, thank you, Robert. You know, we had a 92% approval rating at the VA, 92%. Now it's down into the 40s. We had a thing called choice, where if you had to wait too long for a doctor, you know the story. If you had to wait too long, guys were waiting 4, 5, 6 months. They go in with a minor problem. They end up being terminally ill because they didn't take care of it. It could have been taken care of with a shot, with a pill, with a minor operation. They end up dying. And we changed it, and we had choice. We also had accountability, remember? Accountability. So on choice, they tried to get it for 52 years, accountability for 58 years. Accountability, you couldn't fire anybody in the VA. And I said, that's no good, because you had sadists in the VA, you had bad people in the, we had some bad people. And we fired about 9,000 people, and we replaced them with 9,000 good, loving people that love our heroes, right? That love our patriotic heroes. And that was a big thing. And I just said to Robert, how's it going nowadays? How is it going? And he said, they're getting rid of choice rapidly. Choice is when you can't see a doctor rapidly. You go outside, you find the doctor, you get yourself fixed up, and Sarah, we pay the bill. And it was a great thing. And he said it's rapidly not being used, not being allowed to be used. And, you know, I think it actually didn't cost. I think it was probably, in the end, we probably saved on it. But money isn't the big thing here. I think we saved money on it because people would get very, very sick. These are people that would wait 4, 5, 6 months to see a doctor. If you had to wait more than one day, you go out, you see a doctor. We had bills negotiated, fees negotiated. You know, we can't be totally crazy with this because the doctors are pretty good business people, I will tell you, right? But we had a lot of fees negotiated. But you'd go out, see a doctor, get yourself fixed up, and you have no problems. It was one of the best things we ever did. And now this group of lunatics that don't give a damn about the military, they're making you go through that waiting of 4, 5, 6 months again. And our people can't handle. We have great doctors, but they can't handle the loads. And we're going to go back. We get back in, we're going back to that, right? We're going back to it immediately.
Yep.
You're going to be in great shape, Sarah. You and your husband are going to be in great shape. And thank you very much. Incredible.
Thank you, Sarah. Mr. President, we actually have someone that, and before we ask his question, I wanted to read this to the crowd. He had actually written a letter to you after you'd been shot in Pennsylvania. Dear President Trump, watching you during the Butler rally and you getting back up, both my wife and I gave a sigh of relief as well as a few tears. I would be honored if you would accept this small token that I received as a young Marine in Vietnam. My wife and I both thought it appropriate. God bless you, your family, and the United States of America. Sincerely, Dwight. Dwight, where you at?
Thank you. Whoa. Looks like a check. It's a check. It's cash. Right? So here's what we do. We get elected. I'm doing it. And we're leading in all the polls. We should get elected. But remember this, they cheat like hell. We got too big to rig. We need too big to rig. So I just appreciate being here. You know, we did win 2 world wars from Fort Bragg. Right? So this is no time, look at that big guy. This is no time to be changing names, but we're going to do that. We're going to do everything we can. We're going to get it back. We're going to bring our country back. We're going to bring our country back. Thank you, everybody. Let's have a little fun. Right? Okay. Good. Go ahead.
Mr. President, I don't think you'd have a problem with North Carolina. I think they love you here.
I love that. And you know, Kamala should be here. She shouldn't be anywhere else. And they're missing $1 billion that they gave to migrants coming into our country. Some of them are murderers. Some of them are drug dealers. Some of them, many of them, 13,099 murderers came into our country during their 3.5. And we're missing $1 billion they gave them to the migrants that came in. And now we don't have the money. We'll do it. But they don't have the money to take care of. That's why they're giving you lousy treatment in North Carolina in particular. And we don't like that, so we're going to let it be known. And they have to get a lot better because people are not happy.
Well, you're absolutely right, Mr. President. And before we start with that town hall, I actually wanted to mention that one of your friends here is Silk. Silk, are you here? Where are you at?
Oh. Where? Oh. I'll tell you, she is my friend, too. And she is my friend. She's my friend.
Oh, wow. Hey, North Carolina. Real quick now. I want y'all to listen up. I'm a little ticked off. I just want you to know I'm a little ticked off, and I'm going to tell you why. $750. Oh, my. Where American tax dollars is being used to fund illegal aliens into our country. And these illegal aliens didn't pay one dime or 1 red cent into our systems. And all Kamala Harris and Tampon Timmy want to give us $750? Listen, you all, we only have one choice. One choice, and that's President Donald J. Trump. We cannot afford another 4 years of this, so you're going to have to vote like your life depends on it. Like when you're taking your breath and it's your last breath and you need that vote in order to breathe, that's what you're going to have to do. So you're going to have to, I'm almost finished, Mr. President. So what you're going to have to do, you're going to have to overvote the cheat. You're going to have to outrun the runway. And we're going to have to make it too big to rig. Woo! Now I can feel Diamond rising up in me. Because you have to vote right so you won't get left again. Vote red, R-E-D. Remove every Democrat. They gotta go. They gotta go. Now, while the media continue to play the race card, we're gonna continue to play the Trump card so we can win, win, and win.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. So, you know, it was 9 years ago, and my beautiful wife, our First Lady, we love our First Lady. Did you see her interview on Sean Hannity and with Ainsley in the morning? She did great. But 9 years ago, she came to me. She said, you know, there are two women, and they are really incredible. I said, who the hell are they? He said, you got to see this. You're not going to believe it. They had a thing. And we fell in love like almost immediately.
Yes.
And her sister was just unbelievable too.
Yes.
And she passed away like a couple of years ago now. It's a long time ago. It seems it goes fast, right? But what a great combination. We love you both. They were loyal to me from day one. When they heard stuff, they said, that's a lot of crap.
Day one.
They were with me from day one.
Day one.
And that Trump sign gets bigger and bigger. I said, that's so nice, I want to buy one for myself. But
don't you worry,
Mr.
President, I'm going to give you one.
I mean, I don't worry.
That's
But
right,
you know
baby.
what?
Yes.
You know what? We appreciate your loyalty, your friendship.
Thank you.
And I saw Silk backstage. I said, I'm bringing you upstage. I'm going to bring you upstage. And we miss your great sister.
Yes.
And we love you. And thank you very much.
I love you so
thank
much
you.
more.
Thank you. Great.
All right, Mr. President, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm going to be very careful with these seats.
Yeah, it's a little bit.
These seats weren't designed for me, exactly.
All right, Mr. President, our first question comes from Allie. She was one of the residents here in North Carolina that was directly impacted by the hurricane, and it destroyed her community. Allie, where are you at?
Hi.
Good evening, President Trump. My name is Allie, and I'm from the foothills of North Carolina. Our entire community has been decimated. Thank you, President Trump, for visiting the disaster sites to bring attention and donating millions in relief.
Thank you, Allie.
This week, we have learned that not only did 13,000 murderers illegally cross our border, but FEMA is out of money because they have been providing $9,000 to every illegal. Enough is enough. We must put Americans first. How soon will you start deporting the murderers?
So let me just tell you that you're right about that. It's 13,099 to be exact. And murderers, many of these people murdered more than one person. One did 7. These are not people we want in our country. So this was, I guess, released by somebody that loves us, maybe in Border Patrol. We don't know exactly where the numbers, but these are certified numbers. And you had 16,000 drug traffickers. You had numbers that nobody's ever seen, 645,000 criminals overall. They're in our country. Nobody has any idea. They're from places unknown. Nobody knows who they are, what they are, but we know that we have over 600,000 people released into our country, along with the ones that you were talking about, the 21,000. But of them, 13,000, more than 13,000 are murderers. And some were on schedule to die. They were scheduled for the death penalty. And we have them now nicely ensconced in our country. I'll tell you what, We have the worst president and the worst vice president in the history of America. They are horrible. They are horrible. That could happen, and just the concept of open borders doesn't make sense. You know, we built 500 miles of wall more, and we're going to add another 200, much more than I said I was going to do. And that's why we had the best numbers ever. Oh, the chart. So you know the chart? My favorite chart, Allie. My favorite piece of paper, my favorite chart. But we had a chart. Do you have something up here they could show? Oh, I love that. I love that chart. Oh, I love that chart. If I didn't look to the right, I wouldn't be going to Butler tomorrow. You know, we're going to Butler tomorrow. If I didn't look over. So, no, but that, if you look at the chart, at the arrow on the bottom, that shows the lowest number in the history of our country. That was the day I left office. And these clowns took over. And what they've done to our country, between that and so many other things, what they've done to our country. But, you know, I view inflation was the worst we've ever had, I think. They say, oh, it was only in 48 years. Somebody, one of the fake news back there, they corrected me one time. They said, no, 48 years. Oh, okay. But it wasn't. I believe it was the worst that we've ever had. And that's been one of the big problems. But to me, and I know that you talk about the bad economy, you talk about all of the costs, and the costs are so bad. To me, the worst is the border, because it's like what they're doing is they're destroying our country. And it's not easy. We're going to get them out. We're going to have the largest deportation in history. I'm not proud to say that either, but it's a tough thing to do. And we're going to get, Anna, we're going to get the criminals out. We're going to start with the worst of them, and we're going to get them out. And you know who's going to help us? Local law enforcement. Local law enforcement. They're going to be great. They know their names. They know their serial numbers. We're going to get them out. And, you know, very simply, we have a little thing called MAGA. Everybody here knows MAGA. It's called Make America Great Again. That's what we're going to do. We're going to make America great again. Thank you, darling. Really good question. Thank you.
You know, Mr. President, to your credit, too, I think that's largely why you've actually outpaced every other candidate for president with the support from the Hispanic American community, because it's not just erasing. We all want border security. So thank you, Mr. President.
It's an incredible community that I don't know, it's just a very energetic. You know that, right? It's energetic. And they're very entrepreneurial, and they love our country. And we've gotten record numbers with the Hispanic community. And I don't know, it just works. It just works, so I appreciate it very much. Thank you. Thank you, darling, very much.
Thank you, guys. All right, Mr. President, our next question is from John. He was a Green Beret captain who was actually kicked out of the military. I think he's going to share his story with you. 1 second.
Hi. Good-looking guy.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. President. I'm John Frankman. I was a Special Forces Green Beret who was forced out of the military because of the COVID-19 vaccine
good
mandate.
Stuff, right? That's good. That's good.
So the Biden-Harris DoD COVID-19 vaccine mandate was very damaging to the military. It forced thousands of service members out, and thousands do not want to join now. The Biden-Harris DoD has the lowest recruiting in modern history, and now they're pushing more woke training. So how do you plan to repair the military from the damage that was done and hold military leaders accountable?
So I want to have them come back into the military with pay, and, you know, they've been talking about that, but it never happened. They never did what they said they